Welcome to Truth, Justice, and a Better DC Universe, a new future for the Man of Steel here at Comic-Con at Home. I am Marie Javins. I am the editor-in-chief of DC Comics. And I'm excited to share with you some of our plans for Superman today, with titles like Legion of Superheroes, Superman, Action Comics, and our DC Future State event. DC has planted the seeds for what's to come with the Man of Steel. And these seeds are not only growing, but they've already begun to bear fruit this month. Here's some of the talented creators helping to chart the course for the Man of Steel in 2021 and maybe beyond. We have with us today Tom Taylor, writer of Superman, son of Kal-El. We've got Phillip Kennedy Johnson, the writer of Action Comics, Grant Morrison, who is writing Superman and the Authority, and Mikkel Hanin, the artist on Superman of the Authority. Welcome, guys.
Thank you, Marie. So much.
Mary.
Okay, so let's start with Phillip. Can you tell us a little bit about what's been going on and what is going to happen with Warworlds?
In the past few years, we've seen Superman and his cast humanized really, really effectively. I love the way we've seen Superman interact with his whole cast, how we've seen the importance of Metropolis to him, how we've seen what Superman means to the world, to Metropolis. And I wanted to see Superman in a bigger stage, you know. So in the events of the Warworld Rising arc that we're showing now, we're establishing Superman as part of the universe, you know, the multiverse. And we want to see Superman in the most super, we're really trying to put the super in Superman in this big and epic a scale as we can. So we're introducing some aspects of Warworld that really highlight that. I think we see him in just a bigger frame than we've seen in the past. There have been some details that we got from the Bendis run that I thought were really cool. I love the details that he's given us about Mongol, about the way that Mongol takes power. Like the Mongol is just a title, and we see how each generation of Mongol takes power. We see the relationship between him and the Warzoons, and it just really kind of captured my imagination. And so now we're going to see Warworld in a much more threatening light. We're going to see this new Mongol that Superman has not met yet. We're going to see how much more threatening he is than his predecessors. And I'm just super stoked for everyone to see what we have coming. What we have coming will blow out Warworld, as make it a much bigger part of the DCU. And we're going to make it bigger, older, newer. It's just going to be super exciting.
But I have one big question, right? So I know that we're going to go on and we're going to have Superman, son of Kal-El, instead of just Superman. And what I'm wondering, and I don't know if you can share this, is why would Clark step away from his family and the Justice League?
Without spoiling too much, I'll say that Clark doesn't feel like he has much choice in the decision he's about to make. He, the things he's going to do, he's compelled to do, if that makes sense. I mean, a big part of the Warworld Rising story is reminding him that he doesn't exclusively belong to Earth, that he's a part of the universe, the multiverse. And in this Warworld Rising arc, he's reminded of that. He finds himself faced with an injustice that's too great for him to ignore. So it's something he has to deal with. And we're also in the Superman monthly issues that I've done leading up to Tom's epic run, which I can't wait for it to start. Part of that has been establishing Superman's relationship with his son, John. And leaving John behind, actually, if anything, makes his decision to leave a little easier. Not rather than harder, makes it easier. Not because he's not going to miss his son, obviously, because he obviously will, certainly after the time he's lost with John, but because of the trust that he has in John as a hero himself. The trust that he has in John is in his character, his judgment, his power, his maturity in using it. He knows that Earth is going to be safe in his absence, and there's something that he has to do. So as much as he loves his son, and as much as I love writing them together as a father and son team, he knows that Earth is safe with Jon, and that's a big part of what sets up Jon as the Superman of Earth.
So moving on to ask Tom about that. So Jon Kent he's been through a lot in a really short time. I mean, he's been a kid, he's been in the future, he's been all over the place. Can you tell us where he is when Superman, son of Kal-El begins?
Well, yeah, he's been through a lot. As you said, he's been to the future, he's been in a volcano, he's been a small boy and suddenly been taken away from his family, and he's come back to where Phillip has him now, and reestablishing these relationships with his dad and with Lois. And now our story is about who he is today, and it's about him finding who he is, how the son of Superman, the greatest hero in the world, becomes the next Superman for the current world. And for us, I mean, it's very exciting, but the question I'm asking myself as the writer is exactly the same question that Jon's asking himself. It's, who am I? What is my role in this world? What is the Superman of today? And, that's a tricky question. You go back all the way back to when Superman first came about in 1938, and he was quite a radical character. He was a character we needed at the time. His first story was about domestic violence. He wasn't punching space robots. And today, it's about the same question. So for this Superman, for Jon Kent to say, it's easy enough to punch a space robot, but it's harder to punch social inequity and the climate crisis, for instance. They're just, I've tried, it doesn't work. So it's going to be questions that he's going to be asking, and we're going to fill a cast of characters around him to help him answer that. Damian isn't going anywhere for people who fear that. The Super Sons are still going to be that. His best friend is still going to be there. There's still actually the same age gap. I want to tell all the fans out there. It's just that it's reversed. So Damian is now 14, Jon is 17. But there's still the same age gap between the two. So they'll still be friends. There'll be a lot more to it.
So some revenge coming up there, I think.
Oh, totally. No, I think I'm hoping Super Sons fans, as one myself, and my son is one, will be very happy with what we do in this.
What separates the Jon Superman from his father, the Clark Superman?
Look, he's a different person. He hasn't just been raised by the Kents. He's the son of Superman and everything that means. You're talking the power, the ethics, the compassion of Superman, but he's also the son, and this is really important, he's the son of Lois Lane. It doesn't say it in the title, but Lois Lane is one of the greatest champions of truth and the champions against corruption in the entire world. And so, yes, he has everything that his father has, but he also has that fire of Lois and that desire to do good and to also, make sure that everybody is safe and that corruption doesn't run rampant. He's the son of one of the greatest journalists on earth. And hopefully that informs a lot of who he is as a character too.
So the premise of Superman, son of Kal-El is truth, justice, and a better world. Like, what does that mean? Does that feed into what you're saying?
It kind of does. It's that instance of, there's this moment, I don't really want to spoil it, but there's a moment where he realizes he doesn't just want to fight the symptoms. So it's about having that much power and trying to work out what you do with it. He can be a person for change, or he can be a person that just props up the status quo. And a lot of our story comes from that. It comes from him possibly overstepping a little bit and the powers that then come in to stomp him back down.
So, okay. So going back to action. So the authority somehow is coming into the story. Is that right, Phillip?
Yes. I'm not sure how much I can say without spoiling everything. I can't take credit for the authority idea at all, although I would love to. Let's see. I can say that for the next few months, the events of Warworld Rising will be quickly building to a head. A lot of different threads are coming together. There's going to come a point of critical mass when the status quo on Earth will be irrevocably changed, and things will not be able to continue the way that they are. They'll have to be changed after what is about to happen happens. And those will be the months in which the Jon Kent Superman story by Tom Taylor begins, and John Tim. Superman and the Authority come together in the pages of Grant and McKell's run. Clark's situation with the Justice League drastically changes. His focus starts to turn to War World. All those things kind of happen around the same time. And the Authority plays a huge role in that. And the events of Superman and the Authority lead directly into the next arc of Action Comics.
Okay, well, that seems like a good time to go over to Grant and McKell.
Yeah. I've read the first couple of scripts and seen the work that McKell's been doing on them, and it is astonishingly cool. And I can't wait for everyone to see it. It's peak Grant Morrison, peak McKell. It's incredible.
Cool.
Thanks for
Grant, want to tell us a little bit about how Superman and the Authority embraces Superman's history? Because like my first reaction was, what do those two things have to do with each other?
Yeah, well, exactly. But it kind of embraces the history of Superman in the sense of all the different things he's represented. So very much takes him back to the kind of radical character that he was when I did him in Action Comics. We went back to that well of as Tom said, 1938, Superman was radical. And over the years, he's changed quite a bit. So we have scenes where we see him with President Kennedy in 1963, and that's explained via time travel or whatever. But there are certain versions of Superman, the patrician, the dad, the kind of the Boy Scout, and it's kind of where he is now in his life. He now has a son who can take over for him. He kind of trusts the boy. So it's kind of, if you can imagine, almost a midlife Superman, but what's his midlife like? It's suddenly, wait a minute, I no longer have the chains of this role and this responsibility on me for all the various reasons that lead up in Phillip's stuff. He doesn't have to be that Superman anymore. And it's because of events of the story, he's in a particular position where he has to bolster his powers as well. So he's kind of looking for a team of people who can stand in for all of his powers. And at the same time, he's still a magnificent Superman. He's maybe, he still has powers, but he's looking for people who can almost represent him. So it's kind of about a Superman who doesn't have to be what the world wants him to be anymore. And it's suddenly, he's looking at himself and thinking, it's not so much have I not achieved, I've achieved all this, but was this what I wanted when I was 20? Now that I stand here and look at my own son, was this what I wanted? So it was, again, I think all of the events of everyone's stories is kind of putting Superman in that position where the cape is off, and he can really think about how he might create change and embrace his Kryptonian side a lot more, embrace his intellect, embrace his compassion and all those kind of different things, and to see if he can actually make changes in a way that he hasn't done it before.
Cool. So why does he need to form a new team, or can we talk about that? I don't know if we don't want to give anything away.
I don't know if we can. I mean, the reason he's forming a new team is because his powers are diminishing. And like I say, he's trying to put people in place, but there are 3 levels of why he's forming a new team as well. And each one, and it kind of peels back as we go through the story. We start to understand, we thought it was for this reason, but it's actually for this reason. No, it's actually for this third reason, which is even bigger and more important. But yeah, there's a lot in play, and he's chosen these particular characters as well. And he's working with Manchester Black, who's a character who hates Superman, who spent his entire fictional career trying to humiliate and destroy Superman, and suddenly this guy is asking him to be the leader of his team. What is going on here? Why is he doing that?
How did you choose the other characters on the team? Did you sort of say, hey, McKell, who do you want to draw, or what?
No, I mean, not so much that. The characters came about because I was looking at the original Authority team, and I thought, well, are there other characters in DC? I mean, I used Midnighter and Apollo from the original team, but I thought, were there other characters in DC who could be stand-ins for the types of characters who appeared in the original Authority series? So in place of the engineer, it was a nano machine controlling, half woman, half machine. We've got Steel or Natasha Irons, who's Steel's daughter. In place of the Doctor, we have the Enchantress. In place of Swift, we have Light Ray, and so on. So the idea was kind of to put analogues of the analogues in from the DC universe and see if we could make a team that felt similar but wasn't the same and looked different. And there's a bunch of characters there that we haven't seen for a while, or we've never really seen before in this way. So it's an interesting mix of personalities and characters, as well as duplicating the powers of the original authority.
Mikkel, so let's talk about designing the new characters, and maybe your take on the old ones. What's it been like collaborating with Grant on these characters and on the whole series? And how did you approach characters like Light Ray and the new OMAC?
Well, first off, working with Grant is a dream made true, and just seeing his script.
It's been fantastic. I love your stuff.
Thanks so much. So it has been so inspiring since the moment I started to read the pitch and the script and how every character is described there, and the ideas start coming. And well, I've been working now for DC like 10 years. I think this year I made 10 years. And the first team I designed was the Justice League Dark when New 52 came out. And I was very naive at that moment, and I didn't really knew what I was doing. And now I think for bad or good, I do know what I'm doing. So I wanted to make those characters have a bit of their previous story, especially with Clark or Apollo or Midnighter, that are very well known for the readers, and having fun with the new characters like OMAC or Light Ray. And what I tried is that everyone works by themselves as a design and together. The balance of colors, the balance of sizes and shapes, everything works together like a strong image.
Have you given Superman a new look?
Yeah, that was part of the deal. And it was pretty easy because we had the depiction of Grant in the script with a kind of sporty look, like something very modern. And also I took a bit the image of the New 52 from Grant and Rags Morales design of that young Clark, and a bit of the classic Kingdom Come from Alex Ross, the shield and all that. And merging all together, I think we have a new design for Superman. And I think it's cool. It works for me.
Yeah. Going back to Tom, do you have also a new look for your Superman, for Jon Kent?
I'm not sure if we're allowed to admit to that yet, but sure. Yes, we do. What you've seen on the cover to issue 1 will change. So yes, our Superman, Jon Kent, will be getting a new look.
And what did you have to do with John Timms for that?
Not much, honestly. John's just really, really, really good. So it was one of those instances where he kind of had it before I came on board. I mean, we've been talking for a long time about doing this book, but he had this look and it was instantly just, yes, that's it. Normally I'm really, really, really fussy and I get, I'm annoyingly so. But for this, it was just like, looks wonderful, go. That's what we want to see.
Did Lois get a new look too?
No, Lois doesn't have a new look yet, but it's something we'll talk about. Yeah. Would you like her? Would you like to design the haircut?
No, I don't think you should leave that to me. That's not going to work.
Well,
Phillip,
I wear a hat, so I'm not the haircut guy.
Phillip, going back to you for a second, where is Lois in your title?
Throughout the Warworld Rising arc, we're seeing a lot of Lois in this arc that's happening now with the super family as they learn more about who the Warworld refugees are, what the fragment is, who this new Mongol is, what he's trying to do. She's very present in all that. We see Clark and Jon, Lois, and Supergirl and Crypto. They're all part of the scene. It is probably not much of a spoiler to reveal that Clark's going to Warworld soon. And as such, with the story we have coming up in Warworld, it didn't feel like Lois had as solid a place in that story as she would as a part of Jon's story on Earth, as he's getting as he's getting his footing as the Superman of Earth. So for a while, she's not going to be present. Like once the War World Rising arc is over and we get to War World proper, she's not going to be with Clark in person for a bit, but she does have a pretty huge role coming up there as well down the line that we can't get into yet. That'd be a massive spoiler, but she's going to be very important in action as well. Yeah, a little bit further down the line.
Okay. So let's talk about these War World. So Superman has plans, right? So how are you weaving in his plans for a better War World into your title, Phillip? And then how does it work in Grant's title? And then we'll switch to Grant for that.
I don't know. Well, shoot, I'm sorry. I don't think we can really talk about what the plans are for War World just yet, because that's still so far. Like the War World Rising arc is happening for a bit yet. His plan for War World it hinges on where things go in the next few months. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't really get into it without completely well in the book, sadly. But and I don't want to give up the role that the Authority plays. Grant, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, we don't really want to say. I mean, the thing with the Authority book particularly is that it's putting the team together. So it's only at the very end where you see that kind of connective tissue. So no, I don't want to spill any of the secrets or how it ties in. But yeah, I mean, once I found out what Phillip was doing, I was able to jigsaw the whole thing in. But really, the Authority book is about watching how he puts the team together with Manchester Black. And then we kind of build bridges from the last issue.
How did the two of you collaborate on that? Did you just sort of keep each other in the loop, or did the story evolve as you each gave each other input?
Again, for me, it was, I had a couple of Zoom calls with Phillip, and he told me what he was doing. So this kind of came before I knew what he was doing. So like I say, the 4 issues of the Authority are very much their own thing. And then we were able to take threads from it or pull little pieces out of it and make really interesting connective bridges, which again, no one can talk about right now, but there's some really cool little twists that I wouldn't have had in the story if I hadn't been able to tie it into what Phillip was doing.
Yeah, my introduction happened with the super team and editorial after we did The Last God at DC Black Label. And I got the impression that the reason I was approached was because I established a rep as the guy who's willing to sink 10 times too much time into world building, like developing like languages and songs and religions and, ancient texts that don't even appear on the page, and like just tons and tons of stuff. And so I really leaned into that hard and did a ton of world building to make War World a real place. Because we want to, we're trying to just tell as epic a Superman story as we possibly can. I'm looking back to, Superman 400 from the old days, where the big anthology of the future story anthology that was so impactful back in the day, and that cover, was that annual number 10, I think, with the sword in the front and all that. I think these iconic moments from my memories of Superman comics as a kid and trying to make the most just blow off the page epic Superman stories as we can. And so I just leaned into all that and made this huge sprawling Frank Frazetta Superman space epic, and I have this gigantic doc about what's coming, and that all got sent to Grant. And then I got to see what Grant had planned for his story with the Authority, which, like everything Grant writes, just completely blew me away. I mean, just to get to work with Grant and Tom is such an honor. I mean, Tom just walks into every book he's writing like, hey, look at me. I can make any comic 10 times cooler than it should be. And Grant is like, hey, I'm the most creative writer who's ever lived, and I can just write the most creative thing you've ever seen, and just make me feel like a child every time I read a comic he's written. And it was just it's just so inspiring to see everything that they do. So yeah, the doc that my world building doc went to Grant, and Grant's plans for the Authority came back to me, and I got to read his early scripts, and I just really tried to capture some of that magic and the magic he created, that they created on All Star as well, and try to capture just a kernel of that creativity for what we have coming in Warworld.
Well, of course, we also have our art end of things.
Of course.
Mikkel, I have a question for you. So you have done so much work on that other guy, Batman, over the years, many issues and iterations of Batman. So a question for you is, how is drawing the Caped Crusader and the Man of Steel different? How do you approach it differently?
Well, they are really very, very different, and not only in their personality, but in their physically. So I think the shorter answer is that when you draw Batman, no matter what you do, it's always going to look cool. So you just focus in the cape and the dark shadows and all that. But when you're working on Superman, Superman is very much more difficult than Batman, and you focus more on the face and the body language. So you try to keep the spirit in every panel. So every time you draw him saying something maybe simple, maybe just talking, but he must appear like Superman. So you have to capture this personality in the mouth, in the eyes, and as Grant said in the script, it's like there's never on his eyes. Okay, so that's and you have to capture this in every time. So it's more difficult to draw Superman, but it's very satisfying.
Is it more difficult to write Superman for the rest of you?
Not for me. I mean, I love to write Superman. He's just, and what I love about it is the humanity of Superman, but also the fact that he's an aspirational figure. He asks us to think of the best version of a human being. And sometimes that's a lot harder than thinking of the worst guy, which is much more fun. You know how to be evil and bad. But to put yourself in the position of someone like Superman, I just find as a writer is really inspirational. It makes you think of utopian ideas that otherwise you wouldn't be able to do, and it kind of pushes your imagination into places that people don't find it easy to go. You know, to think what does a really good person think like? That's hard for us to think, but Superman forces it into that, and that's kind of what I love about him. So I don't find it difficult. I find it elevates me to think like Superman.
Yeah, I would totally agree. That's what they said about elevating, like feeling elevated as they write Superman. That's exactly right. I mean, I love having Superman in my head. I don't want a Superman I can relate to that does the same dumb, selfish things that I'm tempted to do. I want somebody that I aspire to be like always, and that's what he should always be, in my opinion. Someone who wields absolute power often, but wields it with absolute compassion and humility.
Yeah, and also it will go 10 rounds for people, you know, and that's the other thing. I mean, Superman isn't just a passive character. He takes it to the floor. I mean, the guy will punch out evil, and that's what I love. I love the brawler aspect of Superman, the champion aspect, and I think it's always done in the service of someone who knows that what he's doing is right most of the time. In fact, pretty much all of the time.
Yeah, look, for me, I mean, Superman has always been my hero from as young as I can remember. I mean, that's there for a reason. I did put this T-shirt on for you, but he's been my hero for as long as I can remember. I was raised by a single mother, and I had Superman to look to. And as a writer, it's all I've ever wanted to write, because for me, I mean, it's what Grant was saying. Angst is easy, earnest is harder, but inspiration is so worth it. Like being able to write a character that you look to and love, who's there for you and who's fighting for you and believes in you, that's absolutely worth it. And that's Superman.
Well, that's it then. Thank you to everyone for stopping by to watch our discussion and for tuning in. And thank you to all of our panelists, Tom Taylor, Phillip Kennedy Johnson, Grant Morrison, and Mikhail Hanin. Superman, Son of Kal-El #1, Superman, the Authority #1, and Action Comics number 1033 are all available now at your local comic book store and participating digital platforms such as Comixology, Amazon, and Apple. For the latest on Superman and all our DC characters, visit the website at dccomics.com and follow on @DC Comics, @DC Superman, and @the DC Nation on social media. Thanks so much for stopping by.